Hi everyone, it's Darlene Corbett again, the UnStuck expert. Today I want to talk about what interferes with success. What interferes with us resetting our mindset to get success? Fear paralysis. Yes, you heard me again. Fear paralysis. F-E-A-R. Let's start with fear, its ability to mobilize. Then we'll talk about fear's ability to immobilize. Fear mobilizes us. We're running late. We're afraid of what our boss or our colleagues or our friends will think if we don't get there on time. We hear an alarm. We hear a fire. We hear something's amiss. The fear gets us going. It gets our adrenaline to move. You hope. Usually it does. The survival instinct is very, very profound. Fear also can immobilize. Sometimes in those situations, unfortunately, it can immobilize. But for most people, there's that instinct, as I said, to keep going, get up, go. Where does it immobilize in ways that we may not recognize necessarily? It immobilizes us around maybe acquiring success, achievement, an accomplishment, a goal. I'm going to share with you an example of me where that happened long ago and far away. I was an adolescent, so we can excuse that. And I don't regret what happened. I would only say one thing to that adolescent self. Keep going. What do you have to lose? I tried out for JV cheerleading. I could not do a round off or a cartwheel. I could do a flip. I could do the splits. And I made the first round. Most disappointingly, and I remember this, I did not make the squad, the cheerleading squad. I had such enthusiasm and such desire to be a cheerleader for such a long time. But that cartwheel was out of my reach. What did I do? I practiced and practiced and practiced. And I learned to do a cartwheel as well as a round off. Kept doing those flips. Well, I didn't try out for JV cheerleading as a sophomore. I really wanted to go for varsity, but I didn't do that either. And one day, I'll never forget this. This is, gosh, almost 50 years ago. The captain of the varsity cheerleaders told me, there's an opening. Somebody dropped out. We're having tryouts tomorrow. Why don't you think about it? I was taken aback. I didn't even know she knew I could do any of these activities or these actions. And I thought long and hard. I had practiced and practiced and practiced. But I didn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to do it. I was so afraid. So afraid of what? Rejection? Exposure? Maybe I wouldn't have been rejected. We'll never know. And I don't regret it. Obviously, it wasn't meant to be for me to be a cheerleader. Those energies went elsewhere, more in my academics. But I remind myself and anyone listening here, if those are the reasons, who cares? What if you are rejected? If you didn't try, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Nothing ventured, really nothing lost. Because rejection is a part of life. I was already rejected. What difference did it make? My fear was rejection. My fear was that I wasn't good enough. Fear can so much stymie us. I want you to think about where in your life right now that it's paralyzing you. Do you have an idea? Do you have a goal? Do you have a quest? Think about it. What's the worst thing that can happen? Well, I'll fail. Well, what if you do? As the great Winston Churchill said, failure is not fatal. Sometimes we get as close to failure as we can. And right over that, as I said in the last that last YouTube, right over the hill is success. The greatest gifts that we are given to develop and refine and develop and refine, I'm going to talk more about this, is resilience and tenacity. And again, I'll share more about that as we go along. But what are you really afraid of? Are you afraid of success? Are you afraid what it might do the rest of your life? We'll talk more about fear and the paralysis of fear, because there are other influences that sometimes compound it. But for now, I want you to think about it. What's the worst thing that can happen if you try? What's the worst thing that can happen if you're not succeeding? As I've said many times, and I'll say it again, we need to go back and think about ourselves as babies, toddlers about to get up and walk, and then they fall, and then they get up again, and then they fall again. If babies were so fearful of falling all the time, they would never walk. They don't think about it. They just get back up. Now, you might say that's so simplistic. It is. But is it really? Can't we apply those so simple, childlike movements to our adult selves? We must remind ourselves of what is in front of us, the desire. The great Napoleon Hill speaks about desire. You have to have a burning desire to overcome the fear. And you can develop that if you keep thinking about it. I suggested yesterday you have a journal with you, a word that begins to change your mindset, a one word. You might want to add on to that today, or you might want to think about it. But I want to invite you again to another simple visualization. I learned this long ago from a marvelous hypnotherapist, and I modified it. I'm not going to give you the whole thing, but I just want you to close your eyes for a moment and just imagine your own inner strength. What is that? Is it a thought, a feeling, a bodily sensation? Is it an encouraging voice, a beautiful sound, a positive memory you can anchor onto? Just close your eyes for a moment and just invite it to come forth. And let yourself feel it throughout your being. And as you do, also write that down in your journal. What was the feeling of feeling so empowered? And then combine that with your word. Think about that word. Or words. Think about that word that's beginning to change your mindset, resetting it so that you can see that you have so much more capability to achieve something, whatever success that is. And we'll talk more about it, overcoming something, overcoming a bad habit, an addiction, a phobia, overcoming a learning, something that you can't learn, but you know you want to. Trying to achieve something that you don't believe is in your grasp, but you want it so bad. And maybe if you could put all the efforts into it, but fear is holding you back from trying further. Fear is holding you back because you've already lost out or failed, quote unquote. We need to remind ourselves that we have to keep going. And if fear is so powerful that it immobilizes you, you must find a way to overcome that. And that is through your desire to do something and to reset your mindset, because fear is interfering with that. But you can also try to reset your mindset to overcome the fear. Use the words, write them down, write down your idea, write down that feeling of when you imagine your strength. I don't care if you free associate in your journal and you want to take it and just write a word here and write a word there. Just do it. And remind yourself that the beginning is 2021 to reset your mindset now. To reset your mindset that you can overcome your fear, and that pushing through the fear will help you reset your mindset more. It becomes circuitous. Get going. And tomorrow we're going to talk more about what else creates fear, because there's other powerful sources that have impact, and we have to help you stand tall against those also, so that you can stop depriving the world of you. I'm Darlene Corbett again. My book, Stop Depriving the World of You, is out there to help you be encouraged. In the meantime, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. I'm honored to be that teacher. Let's get going. Let's continue this journey of resetting your mindset and showing the world who you are.